Francisco McSorley said, hundreds of thousands of dollars was left in the fund and then go back to the general. These are poor, sick patients that are buying this medicine, and when you charge producers $90,000 to renew their license, it's getting passed right on. That shouldn't happen. That needs to be eliminated. I would like to completely support Senator Cisco McSorley's comments, Nicole Morales' comments, and Joel from the Patients Alliance, and Kathleen O'Day. She's a scientist. She's an expert. We need to listen to her. And I beg that right now, let her finish her comments. I think we all want to hear them, and I think you should hear them, not only read them. So I'd like to please ask Kathleen to be able to come up. Thank you very much.
Andrew, can I have 1 minute later, whenever you can? Can I have my last minute when you have a chance?
Are there any additional
May I?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, oh, no, he's in charge. He makes that decision already. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Microphone, thank you.
Okay. Can everybody hear? All right. So the last thing I think I said was we're urging the department to consider relaxing the current yeast and mold standard to allow at least 10,000 CFUs per gram of material, or consider eliminating the test altogether based upon the Cannabis Safety Institute's recommendations. The next topic is testing for aspergillus. I know some of this is technical information. We don't currently test for aspergillus right now. We only test for a whole generic grouping of yeast and mold. But yet, aspergillus is the one that creates the mycotoxins, and that testing is required. So, and if anybody has questions, I'm not sure if Mr. Hearing Officer, you would allow questions, or I'm happy to entertain questions from the panel as well. But although the Cannabis Safety Institute does not recommend batch testing for yeast and mold, they do strongly recommend that all cannabis be tested for 4 different types of aspergillus. It's in my paper, you can read it. It's Aspergillus fumigatus, flavus, terreus, and niger. And if the sample shows any of these organisms, that it be failed completely. The reason the committee recommends these tests is because these organisms are responsible for the vast majority of cases involving pulmonary aspergillosis. And they are the only pathogens that come onto cannabis at all that represent a clear and certain danger in cannabis. It appears likely that the spores can survive the heat of smoking and are mobilized by the smoking process and transferred to the lungs. In the absence of a healthy immune system, the spores can germinate and actually colonize the lungs. Pulmonary aspergillosis is the one serious documented microbiological safety threat to cannabis smokers. It usually takes hold, though, only in the immune-compromised individuals, but many medical patients have diseases such as cancer, HIV, infections that result in damaged immune systems. So for those patients, it would be very hazardous. Accordingly, we're recommending that the department consider eliminating the broad-scope testing for yeast and mold and instead replacing it with aspergillus species identification. Although the Cannabis Safety Institute recommends testing for aspergillus and failing any sample that is positive, the committee also stated that there's no need to test cannabis for aflatoxins or mycotoxins produced by that organism. Even if aspergillus is present on cannabis, the conditions necessary for toxin production is extremely unlikely. And it is physically impossible for aflatoxin to be present when there's no mold growth. Accordingly, if a sample shows 0 CFUs of mold, there should be no need to test for mycotoxins. Even when a sample shows the presence of mold, it should not be necessary to test for mycotoxins unless the mold is actually aspergillus. Aspergillus is the only mold that actually produces these toxins. So if aspergillus isn't there, there can't be any mycotoxins at all. In order to provide the department with empirical data to prove that mycotoxins cannot be present unless molds are present, SEPTA recently conducted testing of 40 cannabis samples at the request of the producers Association. Samples that showed an absence of yeast and mold were tested for aflatoxin. Aflatoxin was completely absent in all 40 samples. I've attached the complete set of testing data to these comments and will provide them to the department upon request, and I have given a copy of my written comments to Ms. Sunberg. Accordingly, in summary, in order to protect patient health, but at the same time implement regulations that do not result in unnecessary shortage of patient medicine, we're requesting that the department eliminate the requirement that all batches of cannabis be tested for yeast and molds. In the alternative, we're requesting that the current standard of 1,000 CFUs per gram be changed to allow for at least 10,000 CFUs per gram, because there's no indication that generic yeast and mold are harmful to patients at that level, and that the mycotesting toxin testing only be required when yeast and mold or aspergillus is documented as being present. Thank you very much for allowing me to finish my comments, and I'm happy to provide written comments to anybody here. If you ask me, I can email them. I have probably about 5 or 6 copies left, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I have my 30 seconds down, sir?
So I believe that concludes the public comments for this hearing.
Can I have my 30-second, can I have the rest of my 30-second I have left?
Sorry?
Andrea, I have about 30 seconds left. May I speak for 15 seconds? Thank you. Hi, once again, I'm Larry Love, a patient advocate and a patient. In regards to what Eric from Minerva said, when you got into this business, this goes for all of the LMPPs, you knew it was a Schedule 1, and you knew what you were getting into. The patients want to know who is making and growing our medicine. We don't want to know where you're growing it, but we want to know who you are, and that's what's important. We want to know what's in our medicine, and I thank you very much for allowing my last 15 seconds.
So, I think you already, gave quite a bit of extra time already.
You got 5 minutes. So you got 5 minutes already. He's spoken. We can't take any more public comment.
So, let me address just briefly where we go from here in this process. My obligation is to,
Can't hear you.
my obligation is to provide a written report to the secretary, making recommendations regarding this process, and giving her my recommendations as to how I think she should decide the issues in the process. I anticipate getting that done in approximately 30 days. The regulations actually don't give me a specific deadline, but typically I get these kinds of things done in 30 days or less. There also will be the opportunity for additional written submissions if you would like to submit anything else in writing to be part of this process. And the way to submit them is to submit them to either Sunberg. I think you can do either electronically or in person here at the department. And if you go to the NCP website, you can get her email address in order to do that. And you can address any of the issues that have been raised that are specific to the amendments to the rules that are before me that we talked about today.
Mr. Erickson, can you give a date when you're going to accept those through, please?
Oh, thank you. I had one in my head and I didn't articulate it. I was thinking 10 working days, which would be I think that would be the 20th of January. You could probably maybe do it that Friday, the 22nd of January. So I guess if you want to submit them through the mail or in person, or through email to Ms. Sunberg, then she'll make arrangements to get those to me. So by January 22nd. I don't think there's any other procedural issue that we need to address here today. I'd like to thank the witnesses who participated in the hearing today. Thank you for your comments and your efforts and for showing up at this public hearing today. And with that, we'll conclude the proceeding. Thank you.
Just one other thing. Some of you have put on here you submitted written comment. Please make sure that was in fact turned in. That's very helpful to us. And also there is snow on the roads, especially here your mouth cookies, so please be safe in returning.
We're going to hold on to them.